Welcome back. My viral architect of influence. Something absolutely extraordinary just occurred that has everyone experiencing profound disorientation. What began as small action or minor statement that observers dismissed as insignificant has somehow proliferated across entire networks and systems, creating widespread impact that vastly exceeds its original scale. And rather than this spread following predictable patterns that would allow containment or response, it traveled through channels and mechanisms that conventional wisdom doesn't recognize, making everyone powerless to control or counter something they cannot understand or predict. This wasn't you launching massive campaign with obvious force that people could see coming and prepare defenses against. This was you initiating something so modest that dismissal seemed reasonable, yet its propagation dynamics were so unusual and effective that small origin created vast consequences through spread mechanisms that bypassed all normal gatekeepers and resistance points, leaving observers simultaneously witnessing massive effect while being unable to explain how something small achieved something large. The architects have been monitoring viral propagation and disproportionate impact phenomena across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what you created as small origin exponential propagation through non-linear dynamics. When someone understands how ideas, actions, or influences actually spread through complex networks rather than through obvious channels, they can initiate modest inputs at precise points that cascade into massive outputs through leveraging structural properties that linear thinking cannot anticipate or control. Most people think impact requires scale, believing that large effects need large causes, making them assume small actions produce only small consequences, leading them to dismiss modest initiatives as insignificant because they cannot imagine how limited origin could create extensive results. But you apparently understood nonlinear dynamics, recognizing that complex systems have leverage points where small inputs produce disproportionate outputs through cascade effects and network amplification, allowing you to create vast impact from modest beginning by exploiting structural properties that make certain small actions travel everywhere while equivalent efforts at different points would remain localized. Watch what's happening as observers process the disproportion. They cannot explain the spread. People are searching for mechanisms that would account for how something small traveled so far, but finding their linear models cannot explain exponential propagation, making the spread seem almost magical or inexplicable. Some observers are attributing luck, unable to identify principles that would make spread predictable. They're explaining your success as fortunate accident rather than accepting you might understand propagation dynamics they're missing. Others are experiencing control loss, recognizing something is spreading that they cannot contain or counter creates anxiety about their inability to manage situations using conventional response mechanisms that prove ineffective against non-linear propagation. The truly mysterious element is the response paralysis. Not only did your small origin create large effect, but observers don't know how to respond because conventional countermeasures designed for linear threats don't work against viral dynamics, making them simultaneously witness impact while being powerless to address it through lacking understanding of mechanisms they would need to counter. They said it was small, but it traveled everywhere, and no one knew how to respond through demonstrating that understanding non-linear propagation dynamics allows creating disproportionate impact from modest origins that linear thinking cannot predict or control, making small actions produce vast consequences when initiated at leverage points within complex networks that amplify through cascade effects. Now the architects are analyzing what creates small origin exponential propagation through non-linear dynamics, and they're identifying what they call network leverage, critical point initiation when someone understands structural properties of complex networks and identifies critical points where small inputs create cascade effects. They can achieve disproportionate impact through exploiting network amplification that occurs at specific locations within system architecture. Most people think uniformly. They assume all points in network are equivalent, making them believe spreading influence requires equal effort everywhere, leading them to use broadcast strategies that apply same force across entire space rather than concentrating on leverage points. But you apparently possess network understanding, recognizing that systems have critical points where inputs get amplified through structural properties, allows identifying exactly where small action will cascade into large effect, making your modest initiation at precise location produce exponential propagation that equivalent effort at different points couldn't achieve. Consider what leverage identification requires analytically. You must understand network structure, surface knowledge, sees undifferentiated space, while deep comprehension reveals critical points where amplification mechanisms exist, making network literacy necessary for identifying where small inputs produce disproportionate outputs versus where they remain localized. Watch what critical point initiation creates in propagation pattern. Your action cascades exponentially. Starting at leverage point means initial spread, triggers further spread, creating self-reinforcing propagation that grows geometrically rather than arithmetically, making modest origin produce vast reach through network amplification. Some studying network science recognize that topology determines dynamics. Research on complex networks shows certain nodes have disproportionate influence through structural position, making your leverage point identification consistent with documented network properties where hub nodes or bridge connections amplify spread. Others exploring viral phenomena note that epidemics do start small. Disease spread and information diffusion both demonstrate how modest origins create extensive propagation through network mechanisms, making your small to large progression follow established patterns that linear thinking misses. A few from complexity theory recognize that phase transitions exist. Systems have critical points where small changes trigger large reorganizations, making your leverage initiation potentially exploit threshold dynamics where input at right moment creates disproportionate response. Some attempting similar leverage exploitation discover difficulty identifying critical points, trying to recognize where small actions will cascade requires network understanding. They lack, making them either miss leverage opportunities or waste effort on non-critical locations. Others questioning whether leverage was deliberate, wondering if you intentionally identified critical point or fortunately stumbled upon it, making assessment of whether disproportionate impact reflects sophisticated understanding or lucky placement require evidence about your actual strategic thinking. A few recognizing that networks evolve, questioning whether leverage points you identified remain stable or shift over time, making critical point knowledge potentially temporary advantage that requires continuous updating as network structure changes. The architects observe that network leverage, critical point initiation, is what enabled disproportionate propagation. Understanding where small inputs cascade allows achieving vast impact from modest origins. Most think uniformly about space. Your understanding revealed structure and sophisticated comprehension of network topology, identifying specific locations where amplification mechanisms exist, made your small action at precise critical point produce exponential propagation through cascade effects that equivalent effort at different locations couldn't achieve, because network properties are non-uniform, with certain points possessing structural advantages for spread amplification that makes initiation location as important as initiation content for determining whether modest beginning produces localized effect or exponential proliferation across entire network, creating vast impact that origin scale wouldn't predict. Something powerful is spreading among observers. Now, what the architects call linear assumption collapse, recognition. People who dismissed your small action as insignificant are discovering their mental models assume proportionality between cause and effect, creating uncomfortable awareness that reality operates through non-linear dynamics where small causes can produce large effects, making their intuitive physics fundamentally wrong about how complex systems actually behave. Most people think linearly. They assume effects match causes in scale, believing that small actions produce small consequences and large actions produce large consequences, making them confident, dismissing modest initiatives as inherently limited in potential impact. But your exponential propagation shattered linear assumption, demonstrating that small origin created vast effect, proves reality doesn't follow proportional rules, making observers recognize their intuitive models are inadequate for predicting behavior of complex systems where nonlinear dynamics create disproportionate relationships between inputs and outputs. Watch what assumption collapse creates in worldview revision. Some experience intellectual humility, recognizing their linear thinking cannot predict complex system behavior, creates healthy awareness of cognitive limitations, making them less confident about dismissing small actions as insignificant when they might cascade unpredictably. Others experience defensive rationalization rather than accepting linear models are wrong. They're treating your case as exceptional anomaly, attempting to preserve proportional thinking by claiming your disproportionate impact was unique circumstance rather than revealing general principles about non-linear dynamics. A few experience paradigm shift, accepting that reality operates non-linearly forces fundamental reconceptualization of how systems work, making them abandon intuitive physics in favor of complexity models that accommodate disproportionate cause-effect relationships. Some studying complexity science recognize that non-linearity is ubiquitous. Research across disciplines shows most systems exhibit non-linear dynamics where small changes can trigger large responses, making your demonstration consistent with widespread reality that linear thinking systematically misunderstands. Others exploring chaos theory note that sensitivity to initial conditions is fundamental. Butterfly effect and similar phenomena demonstrate how small differences in starting states produce vastly different outcomes, making your small origin large effect follow established principles about non-linear system behavior. A few questioning whether non-linearity is predictable, wondering if acknowledging disproportionate relationships just means admitting unpredictability rather than enabling better prediction, making practical value of recognizing non-linearity potentially limited if it doesn't improve forecasting ability. Some celebrating complexity awareness feel validated, having believed reality was more complex than linear models suggest. They're using your demonstration as proof that intuitive proportional thinking is inadequate, making them feel vindicated about embracing complexity frameworks. Others experiencing anxiety about unpredictability struggle with implications. If small actions can produce large effects unpredictably, then control seems impossible, making them uncomfortable with worldview where modest initiatives might cascade into unmanageable consequences they cannot foresee or prevent. The architects observe that linear assumption collapse recognition reveals that your disproportionate impact taught about nonlinear dynamics governing reality. Small causes can produce large effects. Most think proportionally. Your demonstration proved otherwise, and uncomfortable recognition that complex systems don't follow intuitive linear rules where effects match causes in scale forces, acknowledging that mental models assuming proportionality are fundamentally inadequate for understanding how networks and systems actually behave, making observers either develop complexity literacy that accommodates non-linear relationships or maintain linear thinking through treating your case as exceptional anomaly that doesn't challenge proportional assumptions they prefer, despite evidence showing reality operates through dynamics where leverage points and cascade effects create disproportionate cause-effect relationships, making small origins routinely produce vast consequences in ways linear models cannot predict. Now the architects are revealing what enabled your effective propagation. You apparently designed what they call mimetic optimization transmission enhancement, where your small action or statement possessed specific properties that made it inherently spreadable through matching psychological and structural features that facilitate viral transmission, creating self-propagating quality that passive content lacks. Most initiatives are transmission resistant. They don't naturally spread because they lack properties that encourage sharing or replication, making propagation require continuous external effort to push content that won't travel on its own. But your creation apparently possessed mimetic optimization, incorporating features that make observers want to share and that enable easy replication, creates self-propagating quality where content spreads through its own properties rather than requiring external pushing, making your modest origin travel everywhere through being designed for viral transmission rather than just hoping for spread. Consider what mimetic optimization requires in design. Your content must trigger sharing motivation, incorporating elements that create emotional response, social value, or practical utility, gives observers reasons to transmit, making spread emerge from recipient motivation rather than requiring sender effort to push resistant content. Watch what transmission enhancement creates in propagation mechanics. Your action spreads autonomously, possessing self-propagating properties, means each transmission generates additional transmissions, creating exponential growth that passive content cannot achieve through lacking features that motivate recipients to become transmitters. Some studying viral phenomena recognize that content properties determine spreadability. Research on information diffusion shows certain characteristics increase transmission probability, making your mimetic optimization consistent with documented features that enable viral propagation, including emotional arousal, social currency, and practical value. Others exploring evolutionary mimetics note that ideas compete through fitness, concepts that replicate effectively spread while transmission-resistant ideas die out, making your content's viral success potentially reflect superior mimetic fitness through possessing properties that facilitate replication. A few from persuasion theory recognize that psychological triggers enhance transmission. Cialdini's influence principles and similar frameworks identify features that increase sharing likelihood, making your optimization potentially incorporate established psychological mechanisms that drive viral spread. Some attempting similar optimization discover difficulty identifying effective features. Trying to design self-propagating content requires understanding what properties actually enhance transmission versus what designers assume will work, making effective mimetic optimization rare skill. Others questioning whether optimization was intentional, wondering if viral properties were deliberately incorporated or accidentally present, making assessment of whether spreadability reflects sophisticated design or fortunate features require evidence about your actual creation process. A few recognizing that optimization can backfire. Content designed for maximum spread might sacrifice other qualities like accuracy or depth, making viral optimization potentially create transmission success at cost of content value or integrity. The architects observe that mimetic optimization, transmission enhancement, is what made your small actions spread autonomously. Content possessed properties facilitating viral transmission. Most initiatives are passive. Your design was self-propagating and incorporating features that trigger sharing motivation and enable easy replication made your content travel through own properties rather than requiring external effort to push resistant material, making modest origin achieve vast reach through being optimized for transmission, creating autonomous propagation where each recipient becomes potential transmitter through content properties that motivate sharing, making spread self-sustaining rather than requiring continuous external pushing. That passive content needs explaining how small beginning produced everywhere presence through mimetic fitness that made replication natural rather than forced, creating exponential proliferation from inherent spreadability, that thoughtful design or fortunate features embedded in original creation. The architects are now analyzing response dimension of the phenomenon. Observers are experiencing what they call countermeasure inadequacy, strategic paralysis, where conventional response mechanisms designed for linear threats prove completely ineffective against viral propagation, creating situation where people recognize problem but cannot address it through lacking tools appropriate for non-linear dynamics. Most threats follow linear patterns. They can be blocked at source, contained at borders, countered through opposing force, making conventional response mechanisms effective when dealing with predictable linear spread. But your viral propagation bypassed linear defenses, spreading through network dynamics rather than through obvious channels means traditional containment doesn't work, creating response paralysis, where observers simultaneously witness impact while being powerless to stop spread through lacking understanding of mechanisms they would need to counter. Watch what strategic paralysis creates in capability perception. Observers feel helpless, recognizing they cannot effectively respond undermines confidence in their control capacity, making them anxious about inability to manage situations using tools and frameworks they've relied upon. Some studying asymmetric dynamics recognize that conventional responses often fail against non-conventional threats. Military and strategic theory acknowledges that traditional approaches prove ineffective against guerrilla tactics or viral strategies, making your countermeasure resistance consistent with documented asymmetry advantages. Others exploring control mechanisms note that centralized responses cannot counter distributed phenomena. Attempts to control viral spread through centralized authority fail because network propagation is decentralized process, making conventional hierarchical responses structurally mismatched to problem architecture. A few from systems theory recognize that opposing force can amplify Streisand effect, and similar phenomena show how attempts to suppress viral content often increase spread, making conventional response not just ineffective but counterproductive through generating attention that enhances propagation. Some attempting conventional responses discover they fail. Trying to contain spread through traditional methods proves futile, making them frustrated about ineffectiveness of approaches that should work. If linear assumptions were valid but don't, because reality operates non-linearly. Others developing new response strategies recognize need for complexity approaches, understanding that viral propagation requires network-based countermeasures rather than linear blocking, makes them attempt developing appropriate tools that match problem structure rather than applying mismatched conventional methods. A few questioning whether response is necessary, wondering if attempting to counter viral spread is futile, making acceptance and adaptation potentially better strategy. than fighting propagation that cannot be effectively stopped through available mechanisms. Some celebrating response paralysis as advantage feel empowered, recognizing that creating viral phenomena that conventional tools cannot address provides strategic superiority, making them interested in mastering propagation dynamics that bypass normal defenses. The architects observe that countermeasure inadequacy. Strategic paralysis reveals that your viral propagation created response problem observers cannot solve. Conventional mechanisms don't work against network dynamics. Most threats follow linear patterns. Your spread was viral, and recognition that traditional containment proves ineffective against decentralized propagation through complex networks creates strategic paralysis, where observers witness impact without being able to address it through lacking appropriate tools for countering nonlinear dynamics, making them simultaneously recognize problem while being powerless to respond effectively because their conventional response frameworks are structurally mismatched to viral phenomena requiring network-based countermeasures. They don't possess, making your small origin achieve not just vast reach but also strategic immunity through spreading in ways that available defenses cannot effectively address. Now something's emerging that the architects call exponential timing recognition. Momentum advantage. Observers, realizing how your small action achieved vast spread, are discovering that early recognition and response windows were critical, making timing advantage from acting first create insurmountable lead once exponential growth begins, demonstrating that in viral dynamics, whoever moves early gains decisive advantage that late responders cannot overcome. Regardless of resources, most competition assumes level playing field. People think they can always catch up through applying sufficient effort, making them comfortable with delayed response, believing superior resources will compensate for timing disadvantage. But exponential dynamics reveal timing primacy. Your early initiation at leverage point meant each time period multiplied your advantage, making late responders face exponentially growing gap they cannot close through linear effort, because by time they recognize threat, you've already achieved momentum advantage that compounds faster than they can pursue. Watch what timing recognition creates in strategic understanding. Some develop first mover appreciation, understanding that acting early in exponential systems creates insurmountable advantages, makes them prioritize speed over perfection, attempting to capture timing benefits that late optimization cannot match. Others experience regret about delayed response, recognizing they should have acted sooner creates frustration about missing window when intervention would have been effective versus current situation, where your exponential lead is unassailable. A few embrace acceptance strategy, understanding that timing advantage is insurmountable, makes them focus on adaptation rather than futile pursuit, recognizing that catching up is mathematically impossible once exponential growth establishes sufficient lead. Some studying network effects recognize that winner-take-all dynamics exist. Research on platform competition and viral phenomena shows early leaders often achieve permanent dominance through network effects and momentum advantages that late entrants cannot overcome, making your timing advantage potentially decisive. Others exploring exponential mathematics note that compound growth creates vast disparities. Small differences in starting time produce enormous differences in final outcomes when growth is exponential, making your early initiation create advantage that linear catch-up efforts cannot close. A few questioning whether leads are permanent, wondering if exponential advantages can be overcome through disruption or paradigm shift, making your current dominance potentially vulnerable to innovative responses that change game rules rather than competing within existing dynamics. Some celebrating first mover advantage feel validated, Having prioritized speed and early action, they're finding your demonstration proves that moving first matters more than moving best in exponential systems, making timing focus superior to optimization delay. Others experiencing timing anxiety struggle with pressure, recognizing that delays create insurmountable disadvantages. In exponential contexts, create stress about needing to act immediately versus natural preference for careful consideration that timing pressure doesn't allow. The architects observe that exponential timing recognition momentum advantage reveals that your early initiation created insurmountable lead timing advantage compounds in exponential systems. Most assume catch-up is possible. Your lead is unassailable, and recognition that acting first at leverage point meant each time period multiplied your advantage faster than late responders can pursue makes timing primacy in viral dynamics absolute, where early movers gain decisive advantages that superior resources cannot overcome. Once exponential growth establishes sufficient momentum, making your small origin combined with early timing create compound advantage that late recognition and delayed response cannot address through linear efforts, because exponential mathematics make gaps grow faster than pursuers can close. Regardless of effort level, applied making first mover advantage in network propagation not just beneficial but potentially decisive, creating permanent dominance from timing primacy.